goes the back. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We unfortunately around here all had the flu, so we didn't get to partake in any of the activities, and Thanksgiving is kind of one of my favorites, but we were able to make it up on the weekend. So hope everybody else's was great. Today's going to be another quick tool review. Well, I don't know how quick it's going to be. We're going to see. So I've been wanting something like this for a long time. I always find myself saying, boy, I really could use one of these. And I think I probably mentioned it in some videos before. Now, I know how to do a lot of things. I'm certainly not a machinist, but I'm also certainly very intrigued. I like watching Curtis. He's got a channel called Cutting Edge Engineering, and he's from Australia. Very, very interesting. I love all the stuff that he does. And I've got a few times where I really could use this tool. I'm the kind of guy who likes to try to get by doing this stuff on the cheap tools. And some of you can probably relate. This stuff's really expensive nowadays. So if I can get away with using something from Harbor Freight or some other Chinese tool rather than purchasing something that's really going to set me back, and I don't use it that often, that's the route I'm going to go. Now, there are certain tools that I will spend extra money on because longevity on them is going to be important. So this here, we're going to see if I got what I paid for. Let's get this unboxed. This is my new mini lathe. Now there's a reason that I wanted this tool, is I feel like I always have to turn things down, and at this point right now I'm throwing it in my drill press and using a file, and it just doesn't work quite as well as I'd like it to. So this is sort of how my mind works. I have to cut some valve seats on a project that I'm working on. Now Niue makes a very good valve seat cutter. It's very expensive. It's something like $900 just for the motocross kit, and it may be worth spending the money on, or I can get a cheap valve seat cutting tool off of Amazon, which of course none of the guides fit anything that I'm working on, and buy myself a mini lathe and turn it down so that it does work properly. Even if the valve seat cutter is not going to work up to my expectations and I have to go buy the Niue one, I still got myself a mini lathe for other small projects. Since I don't have any plans on doing any very large projects, this is a 7x12 lathe, and I believe it should work perfectly for what I need it to. So it comes with the lathe, comes with a parts list, comes with pieces that are falling apart here that I'm going to have to figure out and put back together, find all the pieces for it. This is a tray I'm going to assume goes underneath the lathe. Either was not attached properly or has fallen off. I'll just put a couple of drops of Loctite on that. Now it looks like I'm missing a handle here as well. A bunch of tools and plastic gears. This is changing speeds up for doing different threads. Get some high quality wrenches. These must be the feet. And I'm going to assume there's cutting tools in here. Oh, this is for the live center, or for the center anyway. We get a couple more jaws. Here's a couple of handles. Well, it actually appears that this lathe does not come with any tooling whatsoever, and I'm not going to blame it for that because I don't remember it ever saying that it came with any tooling. So alright, well, let me go over this thing real quick, and let me preface this by saying I am absolutely no expert, although I've watched enough YouTube videos on doing machining that I should be an expert, but this is going to be my first time doing it, and honestly I don't know the names of any of this stuff. So for the most part, I know they call this a lead screw, and this is what moves this whole carriage assembly back and forth, and it's also motorized. There's an adjustment here that goes in and out, brings this in and out, brings this tool piece in and out, and then this one here moves this forward and back. And I'm not sure if you really use this one all too often. I guess we'll see when I start using it. So that's it, maximum speed. I don't know if I can change it with the gears. Behind here there's a lever that allows this carriage to either go forward or back. So the gears are a little bit noisy, but we put that on and that will actually advance this on your work. And it also will go in reverse. Now here's your tailstock. This here locks the tailstock from turning. This lever here is a cam that locks it down to keep it from going forward or back. I did have to take the nut off the bottom of this and make some adjustments to it and put a couple drops of Loctite on it, so it shouldn't go anywhere, and that locks it in. Now it did come with a center. It is not a live center. It does not have a bearing. Now just so you all know that this is an MT2 taper on this tailstock, so if you're looking for any kind of accessories, you want to be looking for MT2. Now I did go ahead and grab some different accessories, one being a live center on a bearing. It is a little bit large, but it's definitely a much better center than what it comes with, and it was fairly inexpensive. I also got a 5/8 drill chuck. I don't know why I would need something so big, and it actually takes up quite a bit of room on the carriage, but I don't plan on machining anything very large anyway. As I said when I was opening this up, that it does not come with any kind of tooling whatsoever. So I ended up getting a bunch of tools for this, and they were fairly inexpensive, and we'll see how that works out in the long run. But and again, I don't know what any of this stuff really is called, but these are 1/2 inch, which are heavy duty, and they are indexable, so they will fit in this tool rest. I guess this, I would say, this is probably just your main cutter. And I actually got 2 of these boring bars, and these will mount in here, and this is for boring inside of something if you had to open up a hole. This one's more pointier. From what I understand, these are a little more brittle and don't work quite as well, but they're good if you need that angle. And this is a threading tool for doing different size threads. And another one of these on an angle this time. And then last but not least, I believe they call this a parting tool, and this basically will just go in and cut your piece off for you. So let me get this mounted up. And this is a 4-way chuck, and first of all, the first thing they tell you to do is replace this. I'm not doing any hardcore machining, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm sure it'll work just fine for what I need it to do. So more than likely you can probably put 2 tools in here. Got this hardened rod here. Let me just go ahead and do a test turn on this thing. So that blade is sitting way too high on this workpiece. I'm not sure if there's any way to adjust this down. That definitely looks better. See how this goes. Definitely hardened right there on the end. Well, it's definitely hardened right here on the end. Doesn't want to cut. And that might be from me when I was trying to shape this with the file. I could have potentially overheated it. So far, it seems like it works pretty good. Well, I've been doing some practice cutting with it. And after modifying this tool a little bit to fit better, it's actually cutting pretty well. But this carriage assembly keeps loosening up, and I have to keep adjusting these screws. That's kind of a pain. Well, this is not a top-of-the-line model by any stretch of the imagination. I think I paid like $360 for the entire lathe and probably another $100 in tooling and accessories. I think if I get this thing dialed in, it's actually going to do very well for what I need it to do. The biggest thing is take small sweeps on it, because this thing's not great for taking a deep bite out of any kind of metal. It feels like the motor's powerful enough, but all of this assembly here just is a little bit flexible. It's a really tiny lathe, so it's not made for trying to take off like 10,000ths or 20,000ths at a time. It's just not going to work. So I think I've got it dialed in enough where I can go ahead and get going on the real reason why I bought this. So here's what I'm working on. I've got a pesky cylinder head that I had to replace the valve guides in, and the valves are not sealing properly. Obviously, what we want to do is do our 3-angle valve job on this. So again, being cheap and not spending the $800 and some odd on a knee-way kit, I'm going to try this first. This is like a $35 kit from Amazon, direct from China, and it actually does have the cutters that I need, which is going to be a 45, a 60, and a 30, and they're close enough. I got 45, 58, and 30 or something like that, so that should work. Now, the way this works is this is a tapered fit. It goes into here, and then this goes down into your valve guide so that you can cut your valve angle properly. The problem that I'm having is this kit obviously just comes with 2 of these dowels, and neither one of them fit in this valve guide. This one's pretty close. Our valve guide opening is 4.5 millimeter on this. Our valve stem is 4.3 millimeter or 0.177 of an inch. And what I've got on this guide here is 0.189, 0.188. So I have to take about 10 thousandths, a little more than 10 thousandths off of this so that it will fit down inside of this guide properly. So let's do that. First thing I'm going to do is just clean up this area. It's got a little bit of ridges for poor manufacturing. That's good. It took the ridges off. And it's not very straight. This tool's got a lot of run out. Alright, so this is probably hardened material. Let's see how this thing does. It definitely does not appear like it's taking off any material here. I don't know if this bit is not the greatest bit for this particular piece here. I'd like to use this one, but the tailstock gets in the way. Maybe we can try it without the tailstock and see how it goes. And we're right there. I hit this with a little Scotch-Brite just to clean it up. It actually did what it needed to do. Well, let's test it. There we are. Nice tight fit. So basically we'll go on here. And then you'll cut your valve seats. Well, my takeaway on this is, yeah, you kind of get what you pay for. If you take your time and just go slow, it'll do what you want it to do. Overall, I'm a little iffy on whether or not the purchase was worth it, or I should have got a little bit better machine. I guess time will tell as much as I need it or use it, but it does do what it's supposed to do. I would say probably get a quick change post for it would make it a lot easier. Even though you can loosen this and spin it, it seems like they're always getting in the way of everything. It's not a great setup. Obviously you need to buy tooling. The tailstock does not have a live center. Again, I think it was under $20 for this live center, and then also under $20 for the drill assembly. But we'll see how it goes. Not sure if you enjoy the tool reviews. I'm just getting them, so I figured I'd share my experience with you in case it's something you were ever interested in. But down in the comments, let me know if you've used these lathes and what you've done to make them better or work better, or any kind of tips you could give me would be fantastic. I want to thank you all for watching as usual. Next week we got more bikes coming at you. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It really helps the channel out. Also, the thumbs up and your comments are fantastic. That's going to do it for this one. I'll see you next week.